Super. Just the two of you live here?
Well, my mother lives here with my little brother too, and helping with everything.
Okay. Do you have any other light, or is this it?
I mean, yeah, I got.
Okay, that works. Let me back up a little bit and try to explain to you why I'm here, William. And I am here because of the fact that obviously back on March 2nd, the sheriff's office responded to what was described as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Let's place this in front of you so I can, let's see here, take a whole lot of notes. And when the sheriff's deputies got there, obviously they had found Jacob Barrios deceased from what was described as being a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Obviously you were there, witness to it, as well as Brittany and Evan Neidler. I know the sheriff's deputies talked to you not only that night that it happened, they brought you back in the following day. You guys gave a written statement.
They gave us the written statement.
Right. Then he came back in the following day for a verbal statement, correct?
They did both statements. Yep, the exact same day they did a.
Okay, you're right. And I guess from me listening to it, it became the third because it actually happened on the second, but because it went into the following morning, it obviously became the third. So, so the road deputy did his part, his investigation, and then Bill Kaiser from the prosecutor's office got involved and reached out for you, and I believe you and Brittany took a polygraph.
And we had to take three of them. You know,
right,
same
test, just in a different order, right, and so forth. So here we are again investigating this matter, and the reason being is because this matter is about ready to go to a grand jury. Okay, I don't know if you know what a grand jury is.
Yeah, it's like I have an idea of what the grand jury is. You know, yeah, I know.
Okay. Anyway, a grand jury, which is made up of anywhere between 6 and 8 jurors, just listen to the facts of the case, and they make a decision from there whether or not charges should be filed or whether or not charges should not be filed, and so forth. And the last thing we want to do is get anybody in any type of trouble. The family does not want anybody charged. We are not interested in making any type of an arrest of any sort. All we're trying to do is just get the truth of the matter. There are some inconsistencies from what I've been able for the last week or so. Myself and Detective Zender have literally sat down and looked at this case inside and out. We've looked at the photos that were taken at the scene the night that it happened. We've since read the autopsy report. I've read everybody's written statement. I've listened to everybody's audio statement. I've looked at the questions that were asked at the polygraph. I've read Bill Kaiser's report and reference interviews he had with everybody and so forth. And what I'm finding are some inconsistencies that make one believe that maybe things didn't happen quite the way they claim that they've happened. And if that's the case, I guess I'm here for one more final time to try to get the truth of what really happened. So nobody can get in trouble for this. Because it's only fair to not only Jacob, it's only fair to the family of Jacob, including his 3-year-old daughter, Ella, that they truly know what really happened.
Of course.
I don't think he put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger by accident. I think a gun went off, and unfortunately, Jacob got hit with a bullet as a result of the gun going off.
Alright,
Okay. If that's what happened, that's what happened. anybody's going to go to jail as a result of it. All we're trying to do is just find out for sure what really happened so we can close the case out, and most importantly, so family has closure. Okay? But this case is about ready to be presented to a grand jury with what we do know as far as the inconsistencies and whatnot. So I'm giving you a chance. If there's something that needs to change, now's the time to tell me. So nobody needs to get in trouble.
Well, from the start, I want to say, there's nothing we've been hiding. We have told the honest truth, exactly what happened.
Okay.
Exactly. This was a accident, a freak accident that was not supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob did put the gun to his head, and I don't know. That's me and Brittany wish we could ask him himself if he knew that there was still a bullet left in there. I don't know where to begin. I can't believe this is going to grand jury. I understand why.
Sure.
But you could just ask me your questions.
Okay. The night that it happened, let's kind of back up a little bit. You woke up at one point that day on March 2nd, and you decided to get together with Brittany and hang out with Brittany with the intent that Jacob would be invited over, and maybe some of Jacob's friends, because he had a couple friends coming home from college, I believe. Brady and Chris, I believe were their names, correct? Before you guys went and got Jacob, you guys being yourself and Brittany and Evan, what did you guys do earlier that day, the three of you?
Well, I didn't. I'm not. I can't be completely positive. It was about 8 months ago, but
sure.
I believe I went to see Brittany around 7 o'clock. Like, we weren't together all day.
Okay.
And I went because she's my girlfriend. And then when I got there, she told me, "Oh, I think Jacob's gonna come over and hang out because that's
This is 7 o'clock that night.
I believe so. It could have been 6, could have been 5, but I know it was more later towards the day. And I went over to her house, and me and her hung out. And then I believe Evan came over. I think he drove over. I think his car's there. I think Brittany invited him over. And we were all hanging out. It was only for like an hour. We were watching Jersey Shore on the TV. It was a marathon. And we were kind of just talking. Brittany was like, "Yeah, we can bring Jacob wants to come over." Or, I can't remember the exact
Sure.
Details exactly what happened, but he texted me because he got my phone number from, I don't know, Brittany or somebody, but he texted me and was like, "Hey, is there any way you can give me a ride?" And this is the first time I've ever met him or, really talked to him. And, I was being a nice guy, like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And told him I'd come pick him up. And it was around 8 o'clock, because that's when me, Evan, and Brittany, I drove to go pick Jacob. And
well, prior to you guys picking Jacob, let's back it up a little bit further. You woke up. Do you remember what time you woke up that day? I know it's a long time ago now, but
I have no clue. Probably between 11 and 12.
Between 11 and 12 you woke up. And when you woke up between 11 and 12, do you remember what you did? Do you have like a set routine?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember giving Brittany a call and saying, "Hey, look, let's get together, let's do something later on today or tonight"?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. But you do remember going over to Brittany's house, correct? And you seem to think it was more between what hours?
5 to 7.
Okay, at night, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you went over to Brittany's house, maybe at the earliest 5 o'clock in the evening, at the latest 7 o'clock that evening, correct? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay.
As I said before, I don't remember.
No, I understand. It was a long time ago, I'll give you that.
There's a lot of things I don't remember about, details that it was like, it happens like so fast, and it's not like I was prepared to have to remember every little detail. Like,
sure.
what I was wearing, where I was.
No, I understand.
And I'll tell you guys, as much as I know, there's some just things I just don't remember, as in what times or who was the first person to walk out the door. It's like you don't remember those things.
I understand.
But
do you remember when you got to Brittany's, who was all there?
it was just Brittany. It was me and Brittany first. Yep.
Okay. Now, did you stay at Brittany's during that whole entire time before you went to Jacob?
Yeah.
Or did you go out to eat at all?
No.
You didn't go to Terry's and grab a bite to eat?
No. No.
In Bayview? You didn't go grab a bite to eat at Terry's with yourself and Brittany and Evan?
No.
Okay. Do you remember stopping at a store and picking up some beer? At one point?
Yeah, when we picked up Jake.
Okay. So, you wake up that morning, you don't remember for sure what you did, and I'll give you that, it's just a daily routine. But you do recall driving over to Brittany's. Did you drive yourself? How did you get there?
I drove.
You drove.
Drove his van outside.
Okay. So you get there, it's just you and Brittany, and then what happens? At what point do you guys decide to go get Jacob?
I think about 8:30.
Okay. Was anybody else with you when you went to go get Jacob?
Yeah, Evan.
Okay.
Evan.
So Evan came over at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did Evan come over by himself?
Yeah, he came over by himself. He drove his Mitsubishi. I believe we called him or talked to him, and that's when he decided to come over and hang out with us.
So when the three of you were hanging out, just you and Brittany and Evan, were you guys drinking at all? Did you guys have some beers? And it's okay if you did. I mean, I realize some of you guys aren't even old enough, but I'm not here because of that. I'm just here to get the truth.
Maybe a beer.
A beer?
Or two. I cannot remember,
okay.
Honestly, at all.
So you may have had one beer, but probably no more than 2 beers?
Oh, no way.
Okay.
No more than 2 beers.
Do you remember what kind of beer it was?
Budweiser in cans.
Okay. Besides, I'm assuming you had at least 1 beer, no more than 2. Are you a drinker?
Not really, no.
No? Okay. Who else was drinking beer?
I think Evan.
Evan? Well,
maybe Brittany, but it's so hard.
No, I understand.
I can't remember. I don't want to.
If you don't remember, well, if you don't remember, I understand. It was a long time ago. It was back in March. But you do remember being beer. You remember being Budweiser. You remember you had maybe 1, no more than 2. You think Evan may have had a beer or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember going anywhere, including not going out to eat at Terry's. But from there, you left. The 3 of you left to go get Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
and you drove. Did you drive from Brittany's house to Jacob's house to go get him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you pick him up. Jacob comes out of his house. Did you go inside to get him?
Nope, he came out. I think Brittany called him or texted him, and he came out and he had a case of beer with him that was already halfway drank. I don't know, I don't know if he drank them all,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe Mike said something about him and Jake drank some of that before. But he bring a 24 case of Budweisers, Bud Lights, and bottles, and half of them were already drunk before they bring them. And you could ask Mike.
No, I understand. Right. So he brought out 1 case or 2 cases?
1 case.
1 case.
Uh-huh.
And half the bottles were gone?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning there's only like 12 bottles in there?
Yeah.
And how do you know that? Did you actually look into the box and see it?
Well, no, when we got back to the house, yeah.
Okay.
Because after we picked up Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
we were driving, and I don't know whose idea it was to, let's get another case, because, I don't remember exactly the words and stuff that were said in the car, but I remember we went and got another case. But the other case I knew didn't have beer in it, because when we got back to the house, he made a remark about it. He's like, well, half of these are already gone, and you open it up, and you can see the top's off, half of them,
Okay.
and they're empty.
So you guys stopped somewhere and got another case.
Mm-hmm. Because we were planning on drinking.
Right.
That was the thing. It was supposed to be
Just a little get together.
It was supposed to be a great night, It's our first time I met him, and it's Brittany Brittany's sister's boyfriend, and she wanted me to get to know him, so could all hang out a lot more. And it was just supposed to be.
So where did you guys stop to buy another case of beer?
I think. Castelia Market.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called.
Who all went inside the market to buy the beer?
I did.
You did. Are you old enough to buy the beer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old are you?
We're all, I just turned 23.
Okay.
Brittany's 21, and I think Evan's 23.
Yeah. And Jacob's 19. Okay. So you were the only one that went in and bought the case of beer. Everybody else waited in the van. Is that correct? Did anybody else go inside with you? If you remember.
I think we all three went in.
Okay, so all three of you go in. You buy another case. Do you remember what kind of beer was bought?
I think it was another case of Bud Light.
Bottles or cans?
Bottles.
Bottles. Okay. Anything else purchased?
I bought a bag of combos. I don't know what anybody else got, but I remember buying some combos.
Who paid for the combos and the beer? If you remember.
Probably me.
Okay. So you guys leave the market, get back in your van, then where do you guys go?
We went back to Brittany's house.
Okay. So do you remember what time it is now?
No.
Is it nighttime?
Yeah,
it's sunset?
It's nighttime.
Okay. So now you're at Brittany's house, and who's all there at this point?
Me, Brittany, and Evan.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens at that point? You're all there, then what happens?
We get there, I take a seat on the ottoman, which was in the corner over here.
Mm-hmm.
And the couch is right where I'd be sitting. And there's a little teeny thing. I sat down on the ottoman. They sat here. Jake put his case down, and that's when I realized that half of them were drank. He said something about it, and I believe we talked for a minute. They joked around for like the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Did Jacob say he drank that first half of that 24 pack?
Mm-hmm.
Did he say he had taken anything else?
No.
No. Did he seem drunk to you?
No, not at all. He seemed very sober.
Very sober?
Yeah.
So do you think there was any truth to the idea that he drank, if it's a 24 pack, 12 of them?
Maybe. You couldn't tell, but it's the first time I met him.
So you don't know what he's capable of. He may have a high tolerance level when it comes to alcohol. He may not have a high tolerance level when it comes to alcohol, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So does everybody open up a beer and start drinking?
Yeah, the first... I didn't even get to have half a beer before what happened. Nobody even...
But before what happened, you guys did what? You guys went outside and shot the gun, right?
Yeah.
At what point were you made aware that Jacob had brought his gun with him?
When we were in the car driving from the Castelia Market back to Brittany's.
Okay.
Evan and him were sitting in the back, and he was like, "Yeah, I got my gun, blah, blah, blah." And I was nervous when he said that right when I heard that. I was like, "What do you mean you got a gun?" But I didn't say that, I was just trying to be...
Sure.
First time I met him, Brittany trusted him, he's been around family for 3 years, he has a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
Seemed really cool, nice guy, so it was, alright, that's cool. We're driving, and then he was like, I forget who said that it was loaded, and he was like, he made a joke, "Oh, if we get pulled over, I'm going to have to throw this in the back." I remember him saying that, and that's when I was really kind of mad driving, like, I'm driving, get me in trouble here.
Sure.
So we get back to Brittany's, so that's when I first heard about the gun, and, we got back, he sat his case down, he sat in front of me on the floor, kind of. He didn't really have any, he's kind of nervous. He's never met me or Evan. And we were all talking, I don't know exactly well, just bullshit. And they were talking about the gun before in the back, and how nice it was, and brand new. And when we got to the house, I don't know.
Who was all talking about the gun in the back?
Just him and Evan. They're just talking about
Brittany
it.
was in the front seat with you.
Mm-hmm.
You were driving. And then we had Jacob and Evan in the back seat of your van. Okay.
And we didn't see the gun until he pulled it out at the house and let us all see it. And I've shot 122 in my whole life when I was younger, and I told him that. I was like, I've never shot before. And we all got to touch the gun. We all got to look at it, and it's heavy. I remember that.
At the house?
Yeah, at the house. So when we all sat.
You didn't actually see the gun until you got inside the house?
No, I didn't get to see it.
Until you got inside the house?
Yeah.
Okay. So you walk inside the house. How did he have it in his back pocket, coat pocket? How did he display it?
I think he had a thing, a holster.
A holster? Okay.
But I'm not positive that's what it was.
Okay.
But I remember he pulled it out, showed us, really just, I don't remember the whole conversation that we had.
Enough.
I can only remember, sorry.
That's all right.
I can only remember what happened. And, we talked. He showed me a video of him shooting it, him and his girlfriend shooting it before, like, I don't know, we could go outside, kind of, the muffs. And I was like, yeah, I made the comment, I was like, I've never shot a gun like this. And we were still talking, and then at some point, probably 5 minutes after that conversation, after I seen the video, handed him back, I forget when the gun was first out who gave it back to him. I think it was Evan who gave it back to him. We went outside, and he, to shoot it, and we go outside, and I shoot it first, and we're shooting at this white barrel outside, and I shoot the gun twice. And then he gives the gun to Brittany to shoot next once, and then Evan shoots it once. And then I think he shoots it once. And then he asks us if anyone wants to shoot it again. And I was like, no, I want to go inside. It's freezing cold. And he's like, it's cool. It's fine. And, I'm done with the gun situation now. I was like, let's go inside and drink.
At that point, do you remember anybody loading the gun? Was the gun loaded already before you guys went outside? Do you remember anybody putting bullets in the gun?
I think it was already loaded.
It was already loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember seeing any bullets at all?
Yeah.
At one point?
No, I remember after shooting, he took the casings out, and he gave us a couple casings.
Okay.
Because it was my first time shooting, and he's like, here's a souvenir, and this, and then he gave one to Evan. That's as much as I remember he said.
Okay, so you guys are done shooting at a white bucket outside. You shot twice, Brittany shot once, Evan shot once, and then maybe Jacob shot once. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys.
I know that there were 5 shots in total.
Okay.
Because there's one left.
Okay. So you walk back into the house, and then what happens?
We go back inside the house. We sit. This time I sit on the couch. I'm sitting here, and there's the ottoman because I wanted to give him a seat. Because before we went in there, I noticed he didn't have anywhere to sit. So I sat on the couch. We all sat on the couch, and we were talking just bullshit. I don't know exactly what we were talking about.
Where's the gun at this point?
At this point, he has it again, and he didn't. I don't think he holstered it yet because he's just popping out the casings, gives us a souvenir, and then he handed me the gun. Because I was like, can I see it again? And I think Evan wanted to see it again. And then I was looking at it, and he told me, he said, be careful, there's still one in there. He said that.
Okay.
He knew there was one in there.
Okay.
And that's why, to this day, I don't understand why he even put it up to his head.
So he knew there was a round in
yeah,
there.
he told me to be
you
careful.
Knew there was a round in
yeah,
there.
he told me to be careful. I was like, oh, don't worry. I didn't have my hands in anywhere on the gun, like, where I could shoot it. I'm a lot smarter than that. I didn't cock the gun, the hammer back, or anything like that. I looked at it for a minute, and it's just because it was a brand new gun. You know what I mean? I've never seen a gun. You always hear about the 357 Magnum, so powerful. But anyways, I put it on the ottoman next to me, and that's the last time I touched the gun. He came over and picked it up, and I don't remember where he put it. I was done with the gun, thinking about it or whatever.
Right.
I decided to start eating my food, my combos. But I remember that I put the gun on the ottoman and he picked it back up. I don't know if he put it in. And earlier before that, this is something I remember, is when we got there, he opened the chamber, joking around, spun it, and closed it. And I was like, anybody want to play Russian roulette? He said that. He said that. And he was only joking, you know what I mean? It's trying to be cool with his gun. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember him doing that. I do remember him doing that a couple times. And Brittany had made the statement to me after all this happened that he would play around with his other guns like that in front of her and Kaylee. This is what she told me. And he'd spin an empty gun and play Russian roulette and put it to his head. And he's done that before, Brittany said. And I was like, and I asked her, oh, and do you and Kaylee yell at him? Oh, yeah, we always tell him to stop playing around like that. But, yeah, that's the last I remember him doing that, spinning that before, when he first brought the gun out and was showing us when we first arrived to the house.
Okay.
But he didn't put it to his head or anything. I don't remember.
Okay. So when you put the gun on the ottoman, he picked the gun up.
Mm-hmm.
And
something, I don't know, I haven't talked to Mike, but I've seen some diagrams, stuff people have written up, and they're wrong. They're wrong. The second time, the first time we were in the house is where we were sitting. That's where everyone thinks it was like. But we were all on the couch. Brittany was crammed against me because I wanted him to sit right there. And when he shot himself, he was directly in front of me, in front of the TV, because I was eating my combos. I was hungry, very hungry. I was ready to snack.
Sure.
And I opened my bag of combos, and I remember I was eating them. Jersey Shore's on. He was on his phone. His buddies called him finally, and he was pacing around kind of in front of me, and I was eating. And I wasn't even paying attention to him at all. At this point, for like a good 5 minutes, I wasn't, like, I could see him, how if there's, yeah, I don't know. It's just,
no, I understand.
I was watching the TV, and,
You just remember seeing him out of the corner of your eye.
yeah, pacing around, profile, that's what I could see him, was with profile, and, I was eating my combos, and he was in front of me, and, I forget what he said, but I heard the gun go off.
Okay, before that, when he was in front of you, was he doing anything? Was he on the phone or was talking?
I know he was on the phone. I didn't even know he had the gun in his hand. I don't know if it was when he got the phone call I picked up the gun.
Did he get a phone call or did he make a phone call?
I don't remember. He possibly made the phone call. I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember actually seeing a phone in his hand?
Yeah, I remember seeing a phone in his hand.
Do you remember it was in the right hand or left hand?
See, I thought it was the left hand when I couldn't make good note, and then when I first was, they asked me this question, I still don't know. Okay. I don't remember.
You just remember seeing a phone in his hand. You're not sure if it's right or left.
Because he was pacing around more like he'd be facing this way and then he'd be facing this way. It wasn't really me.
I understand.
That's one of those facts that I wouldn't
right.
sit there and remember unless I knew that was going to happen that day.
Right. I understand. Do you remember seeing a phone in his hand and a gun in another hand?
I want to say yes, but that's another thing I gotta say. I don't remember.
Okay. So you remember seeing him out of your peripheral vision, him kind of walking around, moving around, facing you, not facing you, and so forth. You're eating your combos, watching Jersey Shore, sitting on the couch, or are you sitting on the ottoman?
I'm sitting on the couch.
Okay.
Directly next to the ottoman, right where you'd be sitting.
And at one time, the ottoman, which was next to you, the gun laid, right? But as you're watching Jersey Shore and you're eating your combos, and Jacob's kind of pacing back and forth, where's the gun at that point? Do you remember?
He picked it back up.
He did pick it up.
I don't know if he holds or if he was just holding it.
Okay.
But that's what I remember. I know he picked it back up. And that's the last I really even looked at the gun.
Then what happened?
Well, I was talking to his buddy on the phone. Brittany and Evan were the ones who really were watching him, I guess. I guess they probably have seen more than me, and this happened within a minute. maybe 2 minutes.
Sure.
Before, like, I wasn't sitting there eating this bag of combos for 5 minutes straight, obviously. I pretty much just opened the bag, and when it happened, for some reason, it just always sticks in my mind is the bag of combos, because I remember jumping, But what happened next is we're all sitting there. I was watching Jersey Shore. I looked down, grabbed another handful, and I heard him on the phone. I know that. I don't remember what he was saying, but he wasn't mad. And that's when I heard the gun go off, and it completely made me jump. And right when I heard it, these two started screaming, and I still even took my eyes off my bag of combos. They jump up, and I jump up automatically with them. Like, right when that's so loud inside a small house like that. And we took off to the kitchen running. And I turned around right after that, and all I did was peekingly, I thought maybe it was a joke. Maybe the gun accidentally went off, shot in the floor, or he was messing around, playing around with us. And I just peeked around the corner, and I seen him. I can see him, his feet pointing towards me, and it just looked like he was sleeping, And right when I looked, I seen the pool of blood. Brittany was just screaming. I think they came in right after me to look, and they were just screaming, and or Brittany was just screaming, and I was just completely silent, like, oh my.
How far were you from Jacob when you think the gun went off?
Probably about that chair.
Okay, so from where you're sitting, from where the chair is, we're probably talking 3 feet?
About
4 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you're sitting there watching Jersey Shore eating your combos, did you actually have visual of Jacob? Could you see him?
Oh, definitely. I'm probably blocking my vision of the TV. I remember that.
Okay.
So every time he would pace in front of the TV, a couple more combos.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's...
So you don't remember, do you remember seeing him put a gun to his head?
I didn't even see that part. I would have said something like, what are you doing? But it's something I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it happened is when he did messed around with his Russian roulette, he did the thing where he put it to his head.
Okay, do you remember what side of the head he put it to?
This was before. This is way earlier than saying I remember that. But when this happened, when the gun went off, I have no idea which hand it was in or which hand the phone is. I didn't look at him.
Okay.
After he picked up the gun, and I don't know if he holstered it, I don't know what he did with it. I remember him talking on the phone, and we were going to go pick up his two friends, and that's when we were all going to start drinking. That's why I barely even got to drink a beer, because I was driving, you know what I mean? And
right.
I not want to get in any trouble for that. I was like, I can't be driving drunk.
Back up to when he spun the cylinder and said, does anybody want to play Russian roulette?
He didn't like, oh yeah, I guess
he wasn't really asking like
he was just,
for
it was
a
a
real
complete,
response.
yeah, it's a
just
complete joke,
funny,
yeah.
Funny,
yeah.
Sure. But when he did do that, did you not, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say that he did put the gun to his head when he did it?
I'm almost positive, because that's...
Do you remember if he put the gun to his head on his right side or left side?
I have no idea.
Don't remember?
But then we went outside and shot it after that. I'm done.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry about the family coming home.
Oh, that's all right. We understand. We're the ones that are intruding. Okay. So the gun goes off. You see him on the floor. Everybody starts to panic. Brittany's screaming.
Oh, like I said, right when the gun went off, I was looking down like this, just reaching to my bag, and I heard the gun, and I remember completely jumping. It was such a small space to hear that gun go off, and I remember my combos came out, and these guys instantly jumped up, because I believe they were looking when it happened, you know what I mean, and they got up, and Brittany screamed her head off, and I instantly, right when I heard the gun, I dropped my bag, and I ran into the kitchen with them, and I thought, maybe it was a joke, maybe the gun, maybe accidentally shot the floor,
right.
or everything was going through my head, like, no, and I turned right back.
But he was right in front of you when he did it, right? You saw him fall.
I heard him fall.
He was right in front of you. How did you not see him fall?
My prep view, I don't know. I instantly ran with those guys when I heard.
If you're, let's recreate a little bit. If you're sitting on the couch as you are right now,
right here,
and where is the TV at?
Way that way, about 15 feet.
Where was he standing?
He was about in the middle of the room. He could have been about 5 feet away from me, but I remember him being directly in front of me.
Okay. So you kind of had to watch the TV and kind of look around to a point.
Yeah, when he was pacing.
So he was kind of like between you and the TV when the shot went off, correct? So you saw him fall. You don't remember that?
I wasn't giving him I wasn't paying attention at all when he was on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I looked down. I was looking down for not even 20 seconds. And wasn't looking at him at all. I didn't get to see what hand he had the phone in. I couldn't see what hand he had the gun in. I just remember hearing the gun go off and running straight into the kitchen. Like, oh my God, I heard him fall. And I can't explain to you how someone's mind works when it's...
Is this what you remember of the gun?
Yeah.
That looks like the gun?
Yep, exactly. But I want to just try to apologize that I didn't...
No, I understand.
I didn't look. When I heard his body hit the floor instantly, and it was very loud after the shot, and we ran. I mean, it was an instant thing. It happened within not even a second. And right when we ran in the kitchen, I turned around and I just peeked and I seen the blood. I was like, oh my God, we have to call the ambulance now. And that was when I called the ambulance. And who's having this investigated? The family?
Sheriff's office.
Sheriff's office? Is it because of the case that I've been subpoenaed to that's coming up?
Well, it's not because of that. I think that there were some things that probably weren't done that should have been done.
Well, I know there's a lot. I've been following the whole thing. There's there's 10 questions in the paper. And
I have not read the paper, so I don't know what's been in the paper.
Alright, anyways, I'm sorry.
That's alright. No, you read the answer question. Is this what you remember seeing Jacob on the floor?
Yeah.
And I apologize for showing these pictures to you, but I'm going to make sure we're all on the same page. Is that where the gun fell? Right there at his feet? Or did anybody move that gun?
I'm going to say what I remember is that's exactly where the gun was. Or it was up here around in this area, because I remember looking, but it is on the right side of his body, or on his left side, which I remember. I remember when I looked, I never stepped back foot in the room after I took a look, seeing what was going on, but I remember standing there, and I remember,
So you think the gun must have been moved from what that picture shows, correct? If you remember.
See, I kind of, from what I envision in my head all the time when I try to think about where the gun was, is it looks like it was right there. Jeez, I don't.
Okay. Is this the towel that Brittany grabbed to try to clean up some of the blood, possibly?
Yeah, she ran in there like 2 seconds later. She was screaming the whole time for like 40 minutes straight, high-pitched scream. Couldn't even talk to her. And I guess she grabbed that towel to put under his head. She said to help him. Like, she was so hysterical. But I think the gun was more up here, and I think it got accidentally.
So you think?
I think it got kicked.
Okay.
Because Evan went in there too to check his pulse, and I was on the phone with the ambulance. I didn't want to step back in the room. I didn't even see this is how I seen him exactly from the kitchen.
Okay.
Right here is like almost further back. That's all I seen him. Like I said, sleeping.
You remember talking to the sheriff's deputies there at the scene, and you remember coming up to the sheriff's office and giving a verbal statement and a written statement, correct?
Could it be possible that someone could have accidentally kicked the gun out to the side?
Sure.
And
Yep.
I just want you guys to know this wasn't something that someone accidentally did. This wasn't none of us.
I don't think this was done on purpose.
Well, I don't want to think that. I don't understand. Like, I know a family want to find the answer. It's just so hard to get. I wish everyone would just believe the truth, and I honestly know you guys can't unless you do a full investigation.
Right. After the sheriff's department chatted with you on March 3rd, who else talked to you about this? Anybody?
Possibly Evan's mom. We really stayed. Okay. We stayed the night at his house that night, and we really didn't leave the house for a couple days. It was just or the next day, her mom tried to take us to counseling. No, there's no one we really talked to about it.
But you end up talking to a Bill Kaiser, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you remember giving him, a statement? You kind of told him what you're kind of telling me now, correct? When Bill Kaiser first reached out for you, he identified himself as an investigator for the prosecutor's office?
He just said he was a prosecutor.
Okay. When you heard that, what did you think? When you heard there was a prosecutor trying to talk to you, what did you think?
I thought there was a case trying to be set up against us.
Okay.
For someone to be charged for this.
Did you get worried? Were you worried?
Not really, but I was kind of upset that there was going to be a thing to it. I wasn't worried.
You weren't worried at all?
I was nervous about...
Did you think anything was going to happen to you?
I guess the only part when I thought I was worried is that he was there to arrest me or something.
Okay. Now, when he talked to you the first time, did he talk to you on the telephone? It says, hey, I'm Bill Kaiser.
No, he showed up here the first time.
Okay.
He happened to be here when I was here.
Did you guys actually do the interview that day?
Yeah. We went outside and sat at this bench out there.
Okay,
that's
so the first time you saw or even heard from him is when you had your interview with him, correct? Okay, he didn't call up and say, can I come on over, can I get with you tomorrow, and anything along those lines? Okay. So he came over, he chatted with you, got a statement from you, he leaves. When he left, what did you think? Did you feel pretty good about it?
It felt good to talk about it and get it off my chest in detail like that. I honestly don't remember how I felt. I was probably a little...
Did you think you were going to go to jail? Did you think you were going to be charged with anything?
No.
No? Okay. Do you remember getting on your Facebook page? And type in, if I'm not back by this time tomorrow, carry on, Queen.
Yeah,
that's a song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mama, I just killed a man, put a gun against his head.
Okay, that is a coincidence that's even on my Facebook. I didn't even know I had that on.
Pretty strong coincidence is what we call it.
Well, can I get a lawyer because I don't like how this is. I don't like how this is.
You know what?
I'm not.
Yeah, you can get an attorney if that's what you think you need to do. I'm
just very nervous because I can't believe I even had that on there.
Well, it's on there. Here it is.
Oh, you busted me. You found me. Found me out. I'm not very, this is...
You know what? All we want to do, I'm not here to arrest anybody. Okay? I just want the truth.
John, I'm giving you the honest truth. And what day was this posted? The day before that anything like this even happened?
This was posted June 10th of this year. After Bill Kaiser talked to you. I guess my question to you is, I'm not here to arrest anybody. Okay? I'm not here to put you in jail, nor do I have any intentions of putting you in jail, or anybody.
I'm just upset because I feel like I'm going to get wrongly accused, and ever since little I always had this feeling that if one day I get put in prison for something that I've never even done, or it just makes me
let me run this scenario by you, okay? Could you have been possibly playing with the gun and went off by accident?
No.
Shot him in the head?
No.
No?
I think I'd be more...
How did you get blood splatter on your shoes?
He's right in front of me.
Okay.
It was teeny, like... If they could have took the shoes out of the trash for evidence.
They could have, but they didn't, unfortunately.
I guess I'll sacrifice my clean body.
This is the only if it happened, it's unfortunate. And we're willing to walk out of here and leave it at that. We're just going to update our report, and that's how we're going to leave it. But if I leave here and this is your story and you're going to stick to it, and it's presented to grand jury that way, they may come back and have charges for you. I don't want to do that.
Well, I don't understand what else I'm supposed to say.
Just the truth. If you're speaking the truth, then you're speaking the truth, and we'll try to convince the grand jury of that.
I'm giving you guys the complete, honest truth. I don't understand why I keep getting asked if I shot him. I don't understand.
You're going to have a hard time explaining this one.
I don't even write the. I don't even
no,
write
you
this
didn't write this.
Lyric.
No, this is our doing. This is our doing. But Queen, that's my error. I know this song. Carry on, dash Queen. My detective mind goes into work. I'm thinking, well, that's that song, Queen Bohemian Rhapsody, where it goes, Mom, I just killed a man.
Yeah,
put a gun against his head, pulled the trigger.
No.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple other things here, and I'm just trying to show you my concern. Why we think what we think. Okay. I'm being honest with you. You remember being interviewed a couple of different times. I listened to your interview, myself and this detective, today. This is what you said in your interview. Find your interview. Just like we listened to Britney's.
How would you guys know that has nothing to do with what happened?
Okay.
I happen to like that song for a long time.
It's a great song.
And me and my buddy,
why would you post that?
Because I believe my buddy Justin Chapman was over here one day and we were playing on our computers, and he had the song stuck in my head. He was playing it, and he'd always sing the one verse, and I just happened to, at that time, go on Facebook and post it up, and maybe someone recognized the song. I wasn't posting it up.
Okay. So
for any recollection of some.
It's just a weird coincidence.
Yeah, that's why I'm
a question about the shooting death, where persons are thinking that maybe by accident you accidentally pulled the trigger and the gun went off. Because do you remember in your statement to Captain Maggot that you said you were kind of like fondling the gun and thinking this is pretty cool and
we all got to look at it.
And Jake said, and he said, I wouldn't mind having one. And what did Jake tell you? He said, go get a license.
I never said I wanted one.
Okay, let's see here. Bear with me, got a lot of notes here.
Carpet clean up here.
You remember telling the investigators that you went to Terry's Tavern to eat, then Evan came into the tavern?
I don't remember doing that, but now that you say that, I do completely remember us all eating together.
Okay. How much time, just since we've been in this room, did I ask you that question and try to get you focused in? Did you eat at Terry's? No. I bet you said no 3 times.
I've tried to explain to you. There's a lot of things I don't remember.
I understand.
It was 8 months ago. I can't remember how much cash I had in my wallet at the time. What was on my? It's.
You said you never fired a gun. You guys talked about guns. Don't quite remember all the specifics. Jake said he had a video of him shooting a gun, which he showed you, which we just talked about. It's him and his girlfriend Kaylee. Jake asked if you and everybody else wanted to shoot the gun. You all went outside.
Put the pictures away so I can come in here.
Sure.
Thank you.
I kind of like to have a private conversation with William, if I may, just like we had a private one with you. Is that okay? Can I have that opportunity? Thank you. Went back inside after the guy shot the gun, watching Jersey Shore. Brittany sitting on the couch. Evan was sitting on the couch. You, that time, said you were sitting on the ottoman. Now you're telling me now you weren't sitting on the ottoman.
Not when we came back in after we shot. Okay. We were all sitting on the couch.
But back then, which was like within hours, you remember sitting on the ottoman.
It was so hard to, you know how hard it was to write that statement?
Well, okay, you wrote this statement after you gave the verbal statement. This is coming from what
it's harder to write. If one of your friends shot himself in front of you, and within an hour you have to write about it, it's harder for me to write than it is to even to talk about it, right? Because you have to put so much thought into it when you're thinking.
Jake put the gun on the ottoman. You picked the gun up. You're playing around with it.
I wasn't playing, I was looking at it.
You're looking at it, saying how nice it was, how it looked brand new. Then you set the gun back down on the ottoman.
Jesus Christ. Anyways.
Jake told him to go out, and Jake says go out and get a license so you can get a gun.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that at all.
Excuse me, I have to have some kind of rights here. This is my home.
Sure.
And I have small children here.
And your children haven't been in this room to see those pictures.
It doesn't matter. This is my home.
Well, I put the pictures up.
And I just, can't you guys do this somewhere else?
Mom, can I finish this?
Around?
Sure, we can do that.
This is a serious thing, Mom.
I know it's a serious thing, but times should have been made. I've got kids getting off the bus and I walk into this.
Well, we can leave.
I mean, times
I was invited
should
in.
be made.
I was invited in. I understand. I respect that, ma'am. If you want us to leave, we can leave.
Thank you.
Sorry, my mom. She's just upset about this.
I understand. Okay. Can we step outside and talk? Can we step in my vehicle and chat? I'd like to finish this.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to give you all information.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Let me grab my stuff here. What's her statement? Did she say anything? No.
Right now, stop talking about all of this stuff. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
All right.
Ridiculous. I am upset. What's going on?
Yeah, we can finish.
I apologize,
How
folks.
much money is in his wallet? A Facebook sticker?
That's fine. I don't
Okay.
have nothing to hide. That's why I want to. Sorry.
That's all right. You don't have to apologize. I understand where your mom's coming from. I sympathize with her. You want to sit in the vehicle? Or
That's fine.
you just have a seat in the back there.
We'll take this door, this door.
Yeah, that's all. I
Okay,
got too much stuff on this side. All we're trying to do, William, is just try to clarify a few things. You can see why we have some questions.
I'm sorry.
I understand why you're upset. I'd be upset too.
Although I was perfectly smoothly talking and all that until you bring up that Queen statement, which is just totally a coincidence. And really
Okay.
it's hurt my feelings right now. I don't want to.
And maybe it is a coincidence, but do you see why we brought it up?
Yeah, I
Completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut my radios off.
completely understand.
So you understand why I have to ask you that question? Is this who's this gentleman?
It's, I guess, my stepdad. I've known him for like 8 years.
Okay.
He's never been married to my mom.
Okay. We'll try to wrap this up here real quick. I'll just go back over my notes. Going back, you pick the gun up, you're looking at the gun. Guys talk about the gun a little bit. You don't remember Jacob saying to you, if you want one, go get a license?
I
You don't remember that? Okay. Jake is walking around, talking on the phone, facing the couch. Jake jokingly thought the gun was empty. Had the gun cocked back. Do you remember him cocking the gun?
He knew that there was a bullet in there because he told me
Right.
last time I touched the gun was be careful, it's loaded. He said that there's one in there. He didn't even say it was loaded. He said be careful, there's one in there.
Mm-hmm. And this is when you're handling the gun, right?
Yes, and I'm handling it. I understand how guns work in my hand. Finger nowhere near the trigger, nowhere near the hammer, and the hammer really has to be cocked back on that. You really know if someone cocked it back. It's not.
Well, in order for it to fire, it can fire one of two ways. You can either pull the hammer back or pull the trigger.
Back. And
Exactly.
I put it on the ottoman, and when I handled the gun, I handled it with care. I was not trying to hurt anybody in the room. Obviously, I know how firearms work, and you're supposed to be very careful with them. I put it on the ottoman, and he picked it back up, but why?
Where's your grandmother, maybe? Oh, roll down your window.
Can't. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
I can ask us to leave.
Hi.
We don't have to keep talking.
He understands that, man.
I know.
He knows.
I want to talk. I gotta want him as much to know as much.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's all right, Grandma.
But we're just asking him some questions just so we can clear this up and close this investigation out for once. That's all we're trying to do. He's not under arrest. He was obviously a witness, and we're just talking to him as a witness.
And nothing's going to be used against him?
Well, what he's telling me, it's gonna be in my report, absolutely.
Well, in your report, but I mean, are you after him?
Well, he's not under arrest. We're just trying to get the facts of what happened.
I wasn't there, so I have to rely on witnesses.
We're not going to get the facts from anybody else, Grandma.
Right. Just
All
like we
right.
chatted with Brittany, and we've since chatted with Evan and
Okay.
so forth, talked with the family, and
All right.
yeah. So we should be done, I'm guessing, in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
It's fine. It's fine, Grandma. It's fine. This is ridiculous. They're just really concerned about
and
this.
you know, as a parent, that's understandable.
Because I've been going
I
through the
give them
case,
that.
and I've been...
Sure.
Anyways, all right.
Backing up, Jake is walking around. Now, what I'm reading is what you had said to Captain Maggot and Deputy Arp. Jake is walking around, talking on the phone, facing the couch. He thought Jake jokingly thought the gun was empty. Had the gun cocked back, still talking normally on the phone.
See, where he says Jake thought it was empty, he knew it wasn't empty.
Right.
And he didn't. It was never cocked back.
Right.
Never cocked back.
Okay. Heard the gun go off. You did. Body fell in front of you. Correct? At first, you thought the sound was the hammer hitting the gun. So when you heard the gun go off, pow, at first you might have thought it was the hammer coming down.
And
Explain
I
that.
had at least 20 thoughts going through my head, and within a split second when I heard that sound, and that was just one of them. Maybe it's just a joke. Maybe there's a blank. Maybe he shot the floor. Maybe he shot himself in the leg. But I instantly ran to the kitchen. I mean, I didn't. I can't explain it. You guys would have to have been me sitting there when you heard the gunshot go off. It's hard for me to explain.
Sure.
But
Sure. Okay.
but some of the stuff that has been said, and I don't know. I might have been in shock when it happened because it was so hard to talk about it. That an hour later, it was just so, the whole thing, 10, 11 cops in there, and one thing that was upsetting is they had us in the back, they had us in the side room, and I remember the cops laughing and joking, and it really upset me about it. I didn't say anything to them about it.
Inside the house, or?
Yeah, inside the house. Oh, who's gonna have to pick up this bill for it later? Something like they were just handling it like it was a joke, and it was pretty bad.
Is there anything else you think we need to know?
Can you give me just a second?
Absolutely.
I do want you guys to know everything, because I don't want to get wrongfully accused in front of a jury, and I don't want to,
There's no way that the gun could have gone off by accident, whether it be you handling a gun and pow, it accidentally. Evan handling the gun and it went off by accident? No.
No. Jake had it in his hands. He had to. He was the last one. He picked it up. I know he had the gun in his hand when he was on the phone. That's because it wasn't on the ottoman anymore. None of us accidentally held it. No one pointed at anybody. That's the first rule I've always learned about guns. You don't point it at people. I wasn't handling it in the wrong way where it accidentally went off in my hands and fingered nowhere near the trigger or the hammer for it to even happen. I just can't remember what, I never looked at them a second time. The last thing I was looking at was my bag of combos and the gun went off and practically jumped 5 feet. It was so loud, and we just ran. I thought, did one of us get shot? Did someone get shot? Like what? And obviously, I turned around and looked in the living room, and I seen him laying there, and it was like, oh my God, we have to call an ambulance.
Okay.
Are there any? You can ask me any questions. I'll give you the honest to God answer. And I just don't know the right things. Not like the right things to say, but everything on the table, and I just can't remember any more than what I've stated in my statements. And
we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into this. Not only us as a sheriff's office, but those on the outside, including the family, including the prosecutor's office, as far as the investigator and then the independent autopsy being done and so forth. I guess my real issue is the fact that we have some inconsistencies on what people are telling us, whether it be that the night that it happened, from the time that everybody was interviewed again by Bill Kaiser, up until now, interviews being done with you and Brittany. All I'm out to do is put closure on this case. I just want to be able to comfortably say, this is what happened. And most importantly, we need to do that for the family. Just like your family would want it done for you.
I completely understand.
Okay?
I completely understand.
I don't want Jacob's daughter, who's only 3, who turned 4 this month, to grow up thinking for a moment that my dad died when I was 3 because they say he put a gun to his head. When the real truth is out there that no, that's not what happened. Somebody had the gun in their hand and it accidentally went off and it shot Jacob. If that's what happened, that's how we want to close it out and move on with our lives.
If someone accidentally did it, the day it happened, I wouldn't even be able to live with myself.
Okay.
I think I'd be more traumatized if I knew I shot someone. I know Brittany would not no one shot him. There's
Okay. You see, William, I've been doing this for almost 25 years, and I've handled cases like this where unfortunate things have happened to others in the presence of others. And people have got to cover it up because out of fear, they're afraid they're going to go to prison. They're afraid that they're going to lose this and lose that and whatnot. That's not always the case. The truth is what's important. Because if we find out later that, well, they didn't tell us the truth back when they had the chance to tell us the truth, now we need to pursue it as a criminal investigation and make something of it. Where we can nip it in the butt right now before we take it to that level, we're good to go. Everybody walks away comfortably.
I just want you guys to know, no one did it. He did it himself.
He did it himself.
And I've wanted. There's so many times I've just wanted to be like, I wish I could ask him, like, dude, you knew the gun was loaded. I don't know if you were playing around, putting it to your head while you're on the phone. I don't know if you were joking around and you accidentally pulled a trigger, or you were playing with the hammer and accidentally had, like, subconsciously was pulling the hammer back and accidentally let the hammer go, and it was just enough to shoot. I've thought about it, like, why, and that's what everyone's question is. That doesn't make sense. Why would he have done that? Why would he have put it in his head? And the only thing I can say is when he first came over, he was messing around with it, with a loaded gun, spinning it, and put it in his head. I'd be scared to death just to put a loaded gun up to my head, just in fear of anything. And I don't understand. I know he did that. He might have done it multiple times. I just can't remember. I remember him joking about it, and I know he said something about Russian roulette before. And then Brittany tells me about he used to mess around like that all the time in front of her and his sister. And I don't know if you can ask.
His sister's Kaylee, right?
Yeah, if you could ask Kaylee.
Sure.
Ask her if he's ever just joked around, even with an unloaded gun, and put it to his head. Because Brittany's told me that he's done it before, and I like, if first time I met him and he's done that, I kind of believe maybe, you know. And then I find out that he's a gun collector. He likes to collect guns, and I don't know. I don't know how to, you know, explain my innocence as much as this, just by telling you guys the complete truth, and it's still not. I feel like it's not enough, and it just really makes me super nervous because
and I can see why you're nervous. I really can. I mean, when you have a couple of detectives chatting with you on one-on-one in regards to somebody dying, and you're a potential witness, I'd be nervous too. Okay? But you have to understand where we, as police, are coming from. You have to understand why we're asking the questions that we answer. And I believe you do. You can see where the Facebook page, that's a little odd.
yeah, I know, I'm very upset that
that's what we call circumstantial
and I only post that one
evidence.
verse because that's the verse that always gets stuck in my head.
I know, but that's the wrong verse. Right. But it pertains to a song that pertains to an incident you just got yourself involved in which you were just asked about the day before. Now, how ironic is that?
It's all
Yeah.
I can say is it's a coincidence. Like, that's
Yeah, that one is going to go back, in my mind, as being a keeper. I'm going to remember this case as I remember all big cases like this. I'm going to think, I remember a time when this kid posted his Facebook page that pertained to a song in regards to what he's being investigated about. I'm not here to say you did it.
I took this lie detector. I understand it's not
admissible
in court,
right?
But this guy is a very good.
Steve Stuckshody.
Yeah, I've
good.
talked to him. I even looked him up after I got home because I wanted to make sure. And you know, you do your 3 1s, you get your constant question, and I don't understand. That should be a lot of proof just to.
Yep.
I don't want you guys to think.
You wouldn't be opposed to taking it again, would you?
Oh no, I will take it in a heartbeat.
Okay, all right. And if I were to have you take it again, we may ask you some different questions.
That'd be totally fine. Ask away.
Okay. The problem I foresee right now is you got a concerned mom, concerned grandma, and probably concerned stepdad are going to try to do everything in their powers to tell you not to do it.
Yeah, and it's just.
But you seem pretty. It's my decision. It's a decision I'm going to make. Would you be cool with that? If I were to try to set another one up?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
I mean, would it help you guys' investigation?
Oh, yeah. We use the polygraph as a tool, as an investigative tool. Okay? Meaning, if you take the test and you pass the test, I think some of your questions came back as being inconclusive.
I was so nervous on that thing.
I don't know if you know what inconclusive means. It means they can't say for sure you're telling the truth or you're lying.
I have, it's like sporadic breathing, and he's always telling me, he's like, just relax and breathe, and that's what I know. I want to try to take it this time and just completely relax, because I was so nervous that the test wasn't going to work.
Give me a number which you can be reached at. Okay.
419 734
734
243 or 2473.
Okay. If I can set up another one, you'd be willing to take it in the next week or two?
Yes.
Okay.
If it can help I prove my innocence,
Yep.
if it can help you guys. You could ask me a question about my post on Facebook that I can't believe that is, you know what I mean?
Being used.
Yeah, because I don't even think about that part of the song when I hear it. I used to not even know what he was saying in the song until I looked up the lyrics like a year ago.
Yep.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to know?
Brittany and Evan were in the room with after Jacob shot himself. I never stepped foot really back into the living room at all, because I knew, that don't touch anything, guys. You can't do it. It's going to be an investigation. I was thinking in my head, the first thing is I can't. This is ridiculous, and I think that since they were in the room, one of them could have easily bumped that gun or kicked it away or moved it. And I don't know if either of them did it. They both say they didn't.
So that picture I showed you with the gun being at his feet, that's not how you remember the gun being.
I remember it being on that side of his body. I don't remember it being
not
that
down
far.
by his feet. Okay.
I thought it was more up by his hand.
And that could be. An officer could have moved it and whatnot. So, okay.
And that's the most I can give you. I just wasn't looking at him at the time that he shot himself. And if they would have gave us breathalyzer tests, you guys have seen it, we probably wouldn't even blown. I personally wouldn't even blown a .08. Didn't even get to drink half a beer. We didn't even really get to drink at all. We didn't even get to have our night that,
Do you remember going back to Terry's restaurant and eating?
I remember there's been many times that me and Brittany went to eat at Terry's, and Evan lives in Bayview, and he'd be there and we'd eat together. And that's why I said, well, maybe I remember that now, because it could have been a possibility that's when I seen him that night. But I don't know. There's been maybe 10 different times I've been at Terry's and he's popped in, and we talk you want to come over to my house? Do you want to go over to my buddy's house? Do you want to go play video games? Do you want to go do this? It's just been many times that we've seen him in Terry's Tavern eating. But yeah, that really could be a possibility. I really think that I did see Evan, and that's how we talked to him. Oh yeah, we're going to Brittany's house. But I can't say for sure. I can't give you 100%. There's a lot of things that are so hard to remember. I try not to think about it a lot, and then it's hard not to think about.
Oh, this has got to be eating at you guys. I mean, since March.
Especially Brittany, because Brittany really knew him, and it's just every night before I go to sleep, it's not. I just think about it it upsets me to talk about it. I've gotten good at it because I've been talked to about it.
Yep. And then you're going to get talked about it again next week, I believe, during a deposition of some sort, correct?
That's, November 22nd.
Yep.
And, yeah, somebody's so nervous talking in front of these people about it, because it's just hard for me to.
Well, again, we're here to get the truth. We're actually here to help you. And what I mean by that is I'm not here to throw you in jail. Okay? If you can come out and tell me right now that it was an accidental shooting, I handled a gun, I accidentally pulled the trigger and it went up. I don't know how it happened, but it happened and it struck him in the head. I'm so sorry. I'm not here to throw you in jail as a result of that.
I would say that if I know you can't take someone's word on it, but if someone were to do that, someone would have known by now that someone accidentally did that. It wasn't something that we'd all keep, especially Brittany. Brittany would not let something like that be hidden. She'd be like, oh no, this so-and-so accidentally did it. And
Okay.
no one shot him. I just want you guys to know, no one shot him. He shot himself, and
Okay.
I think it was by accident because he's put the gun up to his head before, joking around. And
You haven't seen that. That's just what you're being told, correct?
well, when he was there, and I can't say for 100%, but I'm 90% sure that I seen him put it to his head when he spun the chamber. So, not you guys, play Russian roulette. And he was only joking. It was only for a second, but he put it to his head.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you maybe talk to Evan, and I think the reason the stories aren't like completely consistent, it's not like we never really got together and sat there and talked about it completely and tried to make a story up, because it's all genuine truth that we're telling you guys. That, like, just the reason there's not so much detail I remember is because all I remember is he shot himself, and that was it.
Okay.
And there's nothing that could have been done, or I was the one who said you got to call the ambulance right now. And right when I looked in there, and from what I've heard about the gun and for how close he had it to his head, it had to have been right against it. Brittany and Evan are the ones who've seen him holding it. But I wish I was looking so I could tell you guys that the gun was in this hand, the phone was in this hand. I wish I could help the investigation more, but it just upsets me.
Which van were you in? Where's that van at?
Right there. The Astro.
White one?
Yep.
FBY 3363. Who's that actually registered to?
That is registered to my grandma. She bought it from my buddy who lives over down the road by Windjammers.
So it's gonna come back to your grandma's name?
Yeah, Kathleen Twining.
Twining?
Twining.
Like, you know what year that van is?
Oh, I have no idea. 87 maybe?
That's a Chevy Astro?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you think of anything else I need to know, William?
That he was in front of me when it happened. I know that. He was, because I could see it on my prefeel.
Yep, you told me that.
And my shoes didn't have, it was only like specs.
Right.
And her mom pointed it out to me, Brittany's mom, and I took the shoes off, and I was just really in shock. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Like, I was like, the night was nothing like that was supposed to happen. I can't believe that he even put it to his head like that. I don't understand why. You had to have pulled the trigger. You'd have to have been conscious of what you did. And I don't know if he thought the bullet wasn't, maybe the bullet was further down because there's only one in there. I don't know what he was thinking. Right. But obviously it was right there when he pulled the trigger.
Okay.
I don't understand. Like, I read something, which I know it's just the newspaper and stuff, about the bullet going in at a downward angle. I don't understand.
Somebody just pulled in.
It's fine. It's another one of my mom's friends. We're over here trying to have dinner. My little brother's about to have wrestling.
Okay.
Bitty wrestling, first day of wrestling.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
I'm not gonna comment what was in the paper because I honestly didn't read it. Mm-hmm. You talking about what was in the Sandusky Register? I did not read it. So I'm not gonna comment on that because I don't know for sure what was said. It's still under investigation. We're going to meet with the prosecutor hopefully sometime tomorrow at noon and make a decision what we're going to do with this. So what I want you to do another time around is just think long and hard about what's happened that particular night. And if you think there's something I need to know, reach out for me, especially between now and tomorrow at noon. So I can, I know what to tell the prosecutor what to do with this. I don't want to put anybody in jail for any reason. family doesn't want anybody to go to jail. They just want
no one
closure.
should. No one. Everyone wishes you could just come back and be like, yeah, I accidentally shot myself like an idiot and didn't realize it, but
Right.
it's never going to happen.
Absolutely. Right. Okay.
But that's all. I don't know if you have any question. You want another question?
If I do, I got your number and may have you check another polygraph. I'm going to have to put some thought into that. But if I do, I'll give you a call. Okay?
I don't, like, the report, like, the cop said I was playing with the gun. Literally, I was laying it in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like, I
I wouldn't say playing was the right word.
fondling with
You were
it,
just
like,
kind of
flipping.
looking at, checking it out, so to speak.
Yeah, and
That was my take on it.
And also, if I were to be doing that, won't you think the bullet, what a coincidence, the bullet was directly in the side of his head and not at an angle because I was sitting down, he was standing up. It just, I try to think about it like...
Was he sitting down on the floor at one time?
When we first arrived there, very first, he was sitting down by the ottoman, and I was...
Before you guys went out and shot?
Yeah, when we went out and shot, we came in, and I sat on the couch to be a nice guy, because I realized he was sitting on the floor, and, there's an ottoman.
Did he ever sit down at that time?
I don't think so. I think his friend called by then.
Okay. And you seem to think that he may have had a few beers, but he was okay. He seemed okay to you, even though he made a statement to you that, well, half of these beers are gone because I had drank them.
Yeah, and Mike made a statement. I went to see his dad like a week later, maybe in a couple days later. I can't remember. And he said that him and his son were drinking those before, like he was having a few beers with them.
Right.
And that's why we went back to get the case. And I don't know, maybe to this day his dad has been trying to put a case together because he wants to know what happened to his son and just want to get the case for evidence. But I'm just sorry about
as a parent, he's just concerned. He wants to know what happened to his son. He wants to know what he has to tell his granddaughter one day down the road, and I respect it, and I certainly think you do too.
Yeah, that's why I just want to get. I thought the lie detector test. I know that's not submissive. I thought that'd just be enough to ease his mind.
Well, yes and no. I mean, again, I think at least one, if not two, of your questions were inconclusive. Meaning, we don't know if they were truthful or if they weren't truthful. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'd probably have you take another one.
I'd like to.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
All right. Well, let me get you out of here. I certainly apologize on behalf of us being here, and I know we caused a huge inconvenience.
It's fine. If you guys are coming out earlier, they wouldn't have been. Been here.
I know.
Everybody's leaving.
I apologize for showing you the pictures, but I want to make sure that you had a clear understanding what we were talking about.
Well, the one picture was the one with the gun. I think it was more up by his hand.
Yep, and that's fine. That's fine.
I have another question. They say that the bullet the bullet was in the ceiling.
That's my understanding. The bullet went through the ceiling. It's probably lodged somewhere up in the attic. We're going to try to.
I don't understand how.
Well, because the bullet went in and came back out.
Well, if he shot himself from the side, how did it end up going upwards?
Well, that's a good question. That's why we're going to go back to the scene and look at it.
Brittany said that like 2 days later. She's like, yeah, the bullet hole's in the ceiling. I was like, no. I was like, it's not a bullet hole, Brittany. I was like, there's no way. He shot himself from the side. There's no way there's a bullet up there. I guess it's possible it could have ricocheted off something in that room any way possible and ended up going.
Sure is. Yep, bullets are known to ricochet.
It's just like that's the only way I could think it would have went in the attic, but I don't know what it ricocheted. It could have hit. It's just.
If we can find a bullet, I can tell you if that bullet came from that gun.
And could you tell if it hit something?
Not necessarily, but we can tell it came from that gun if we can find it. And we're gonna go look for it tomorrow.
It's like there's just some weird stuff that I know. The gun's in the wrong place. He's right-handed or left-handed.
Right.
And well, obviously, if he was on the phone, he's using his good hand. That's just a thing you do. So, and then the other, the bowl in the attic really throws the whole thing off.
Yep.
And it really, I don't understand, like...
Yep. Okay, well, I'll let you go.
Well,
I think we're repeating ourselves at this point.
Yeah.
Again, I really appreciate your cooperation, William.
I'm
Feel
sorry
free to
about
give
these
me a
guys.
call. Call me at that number. If I don't answer, leave it on my voicemail.
Alright.
And I'll call you as soon as I check my voicemail. We'll go from there.
Alright, well,
Okay.
glad I could help you guys a little bit.
Again, I apologize to the family for